Alright folks, welcome back to the channel. Today's adventure, I'm heading out onto Church Pond. Looks like a little pond, but it's got a few hidden canals that takes you to other places. So let's go check them out. Alright everybody, welcome back. This is Church Pond, and the boat launch hand launch area is down around here, this corner, and I don't know how well the camera will pick it up, but right over in there is the canal that takes you over to Little Church Pond. Then there's a canal from there that takes you over to Osgood Pond. So this is a small pond. It is exactly that, a pond. It's not that big. I mean, I could probably paddle around this little on this pond 10 minutes. And but on the southern shore over here is the St. John's of the Wilderness Church, and in its cemetery is where famous Adirondack figures like Paul Smith and Dr. Trudeau are buried over here. And if you've seen my videos in the past, Dr. Trudeau was the instrumental about coming up with how to treat TB. And actually in Saranac Lake, there's still the Trudeau Institute in Saranac Lake. But there is a series of canals. You know, you come through here in Church Pond. There's a little canal that takes you over onto Little Church Pond, and then there's a longer canal that takes you over onto Osgood Pond. And those were hand dug over 100 years ago, so people could paddle to church here. And but it's pretty interesting, and this is all, Paul Smith College is not that far right over here. I think Paul Smith owns all this, actually. Paul Smith College owns all this. And this is actually in the town of Brighton, and which reminds me of this story here is, if you think the politics of today is just mind-boggling, wait till you hear this story. So many years ago, back in the early 1800s, this was all the town of Duane, and the town of Duane is named after James Duane, one of the first settlers in the area. He actually had a Meacham Lake Hotel, where the DEC campground now is on Meacham Lake. And his son was the one that graduated from West Point, and he was Major Duane. He married the daughter of William Constable, who the town of Constable on the other side of Malone is named after. And in the mid 1840s, a fella named Miller from Saranac Lake, he got tired of driving over rough and bad roads from Saranac Lake to Duane to attend town meetings. And so he devised this plan to come up with that he took all his followers from over Saranac area. They went to a meeting, traveled the 30 miles to Duane, and they forced a vote to hold the next town meeting in Saranac Lake. Well, that didn't go over well with Major Duane, who was the town supervisor at the time. And so this Miller, since he brought all of his followers there, it passed the vote, and so the next meeting was held in Saranac Lake. So at the next town meeting, Major Duane gathered all his followers from Duane, and they traveled the 30 miles to Saranac Lake, where Major Duane forced a vote to separate the town. So he wouldn't have to travel the 30 miles to Saranac Lake. He said, here, we'll force a vote. And of course, he had all his followers there, and they were going to vote for it. So they voted for it. Now, Major Duane's wife was Harriet, and that's how Harrietstown was born. On March 31st, 1841, the section that was in the town of Duane was formally established as Harrietstown. But the town of Duane was still pretty good size. So over the years, as the farms developed and lumber operations developed in this section of the town of Duane, and Paul Smith was just starting to create his world famous hotel over here on the Upper St. Regis, the taxpayers from this southern end of the town of Duane were unhappy because they felt that they weren't getting their fair share of the tax money down here for the roads and for infrastructure. And every time they went to a town meeting in Duane Center, Major Duane would have his followers there to put down any kind of uprising from the southern part of the town. So Jim Warden, who was, I think he was a farmer, I think, here on Osgood Pond, and Paul Smith, they got together, and Paul had convinced a lumber company of Keene and Tomlinson to expand into the area and to build a road from Bloomingdale to the military road here, which is now Route 30. And so Paul told Jim Warner that he was going to set up this scheme that they would only hire voters from the town of Duane for the lumbering operations and to build the road, and then convince them that if they didn't vote to separate the town, they would lose their jobs. So when Paul told Jim about his plan, what he was going to do, Jim called his plan, well, that is certainly a bright one. So, and they followed through with their plan. They went to the town meeting, and they gave all the people that they hired the day off with pay to go vote at the town meeting to divide the town. And when they went to the meeting, they took Major Duane by surprise. They voted to separate the town, and it was successful. And so when they were afterwards, when they were celebrating their victory, Paul said to Jim, what are we going to call this new town? And after Paul Smith thought about it, he says, well, you called the plan a bright one. So he wrote down Bright One and crossed off the E at the end, and the town of Brighton was born. In 1858, the town of Brighton was established with the hamlets of Gabriel, Split Rock, Paul Smith, Easy Street, Keenes Mills, McCollum's, Rainbow Lake, with James Wardner, the very first supervisor. And 1 year later, Paul Smith, in 1859, with his wife Lydia, opened their hotel on Lower St. Regis Lake, which the rest is history. It became a world famous hotel with a lot of visitors. And so if you think politics of today is underhanded and shady, I think the politics through all of time has been a little underhanded and shady. I mean, You know, there's been some good people in there and there's been some rotten people in there, but what are you gonna do? You fret about it, you just take years off your life. But so yeah, this is Church Pond. It's a nice day here. Last night we had I believe our first frost of the year. I actually had the heat on in the camper most of the night. It got down there pretty well. But yeah, today though it's about 65, 67 degrees, and yeah, sun and clouds. Decent day, but I don't have much left of my paddle, but I'm gonna go out and finish it up. Alright folks, you watched all the way through. Thanks for that. If you liked the video, make sure to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button down below. Continue to follow the adventure. And remember folks, tomorrow is no guarantee for any one of us. So disconnect from that Wi-Fi, connect to this out here. You won't be disappointed.